ISO 27001 Annex A 8.7 Protection Against Malware. So in the update to the standard, we're moving away from just focusing on antivirus, and we're now looking at anti-malware. So the more holistic approach to the risks associated with malware. Let's have a little look at what it's all about, and then what I'm going to do is go through, as always, a step-by-step implementation guide about how you can implement this. So the definition: the protection against malware should be implemented and supported by appropriate user awareness. End of definition. So what you're seeing there, the supported by user awareness, it's about protection against malware. Malware comes in many different forms, right? This isn't just the old world of viruses. You've got ransomware out there, you've got rootkits out there, you've got all kinds of malware that can infect you and present you with a risk. So the world has moved on, and the world will continue to move on. And what we're saying here is that technical controls are not going to be enough. Just having a technical control isn't enough. We need to support that by user education, user training, user awareness. And you've seen the other controls that we've been through where we've talked about that. We've talked about that controls and how you can do that. But when you do that, we're just going to include malware and anti-malware as part of that process. So let's have a little look at what the implementation guide, what kind of things would I recommend? I'm going to recommend a topic-specific policy. I provide you with a topic-specific policy as part of the 27001 toolkit, or the sub-toolkit for policies, or you can buy it actually individually on its own. But you're going to need that policy. And the policy sets out what it is that we do when it comes to our approach for anti-malware. Okay, so you're going to need that policy. And then what we're going to be doing is we're looking at education. So as part of your information security training, you're implementing a training and awareness around malware, and it'll take the form of informing people of what it is and how to respond, and general awareness, okay? So general awareness around it. What do people do if they come across malware, right? What do they do? How do they report that? Incident reporting, we did a control on that about how you raise incidents and what happens as a result of those. So you're going to put your education in. Yes, we're going to look at antivirus software. If your antivirus software has additional capabilities in it, great. But the bare minimum that we're going to do here is we're going to revert back to the previous version of the standard. The bare minimum is we're going to have antivirus, right? Antivirus on systems, devices that can take it. So I am aware that there are technical technical operating systems out there that can't run it. All right, and if that is the case, then that is fine. The standard allows for that. Again, we've covered this about how we can manage through risk management exceptions to the norm. If there is software, operating system, a technical system that cannot have antivirus on it, and our policy is that everything should, then we are going to manage that through risk management. We're going to have a risk register, risk item for that particular system. We're going to have the compensating controls that we have in around that, and we're going to evidence and accept that risk, and then take that to our risk sign off and evidence that that risk was signed off as accepted. So we can manage that. But for software, for operating systems, for devices that can take antivirus, we're going to have it. And that antivirus is going to be up to date. It's going to have regular updates of definition files. It's going to be centrally managed, and all of the things that go in the policy that mean that it is an effective antivirus solution. Now, if there are other solutions and technical solutions for the evidence of anti-malware, we're going to implement those as well. So we're going to look at on a risk-based system. We're going to go system by system, operating system by operating system at the highest level, and understand what are the risks that we have, and then what are the controls and the technical controls that we can put in place that will mitigate against that risk. So this is where you're going to rely on the help of your IT teams. We're going to reach out to IT. We're going to reach out to vendors. We're going to reach out for industry best practice and make sure that those technical solutions are in place. We're going to look at things like the allow listing of websites, right? So allow listing of websites, what does this mean? This means putting in web filtering. Web filtering is a control, and we will come to that control. But we're looking in at what sites and what types of sites do we want to allow to reduce our risk exposure to malware, right? Website and website delivery is one of the great ways, of getting malware onto devices, clicking of malicious links and websites that are designed and hosted to harvest you and harvest your credentials and get that back. So we're going to put in some technical support controls around allow listing of what people can access. Obviously, then we've got solutions in around phishing, the training around phishing, how we educate users around clicking links, what links to click, how not to click, how to report those, backed by our phishing training as well, which is another control, and we've touched on that. We're going to look at things around email and technical controls that we can put in around email that supports phishing and supports our other risk exposure. What are the tools that we can put in, or the tools that are built in and baked into our email systems that either filter out malicious links or prevent links from being clicked, etc. So we're looking at malware protection through email. That's something, again, you're going to rely on your technical teams to make sure that you've got in. And if you haven't got it in, you're going to manage that through risk management. We looked at the introduction, and you can go back to control 5.7, threat intelligence. We're looking at threat intelligence and the role that threat intelligence has a place and what role it has to play in protection against malware. Okay, clearly it does, right? Early alerts, early warning, distribution and access to newsletters, security alerts are all going to help you in terms of managing the risks as they emerge, and then through threat intelligence trying to mitigate against those. So this is another tool, another weapon in your armory, another tool in your toolbox around threat intelligence. We're going to place reliance on vulnerability management, right? So things like patch management, we're going to go back to those controls. We're going to make sure that our systems are as up to date as they can be. And if they can't, they're on the risk register managed through risk. But we're going to make sure that our systems are patched. Patch for operating system updates, patch for security updates, right? Having effective patch management, again, is a primary defense in your defense against malware. Malware is designed to exploit vulnerabilities. If we have good vulnerability management in place and our vulnerabilities are being patched, the holes in our dam are being plugged, then we are going to be in the best place that we can be. Should the worst happen, that the malware gets past some of our first lines of defense, right? So people actually click on a link, etc. We are going to look here at things like business continuity. Business continuity, disaster recovery and backup. Again, technical controls that I want you to go and revisit and to go and look at. The reason that they're important is, again, if we breach those first and second lines of defense and we click that malware and ransomware gets infected into our environment and starts to encrypt our systems and starts to lock us out of our data and systems, probably the only option that we've got is to recover from backup. It's probably the only option we've got. You're seeing industries, you're seeing people paying these massive fines, and we will touch on that on another video about why that is a bad idea. But recovery from that usually is going to rely on the BCP, DR, and backups that you have in place. So you're going to make sure that you've looked at those controls and you're implementing effective backup. So that is some high level guidance. What we're going to do, we're going to go through, I'm going to recap for you. I'm going to recap fast. Have a policy, assess your threats and implement malware protection proportionate to the threat. Implement technical controls where appropriate based on the advices of your IT teams. Implement processes for the prevention of malware. Keep records of everything that you do and test the controls that you have in place. More on that in the blog. Click the link to the blog where more detail exists upon that. That's the high level approach. When it comes to mistakes that people make, what are the mistakes that people make? The biggest mistake is you have weak antivirus, i.e. your antivirus is in but your definition files are not updating. Your antivirus is in but it isn't running. Your antivirus is in but you're not responding to the alerts and the events that are in it. All of which would lead you to say, well, what is the point in having antivirus, right? So yes, I'm focusing here on antivirus. I insert the term anti-malware. But having weak or no antivirus is probably the biggest risk that we see. And for people that don't have it and don't understand that they don't have it and haven't managed it through risk and don't have it on the risk register, that is going to be the biggest mistake that you've got. The second one is relying only on antivirus, right? If you only rely on antivirus for this control, you're missing the point of user awareness. You're missing the point of the process controls. You're missing the point of the other technical controls that are going to back you up and support you that we have covered elsewhere and in other blogs. So that is ISO 27001 8.7, protection against malware. Get your antivirus in, get your basic anti-malware in, make sure you're educating your users, and you're going to be absolutely golden. My name is Stuart Barker, the ISO 27001 Ninja Stroke Guru, and we continue our journey through the technical controls. So until the next tutorial video, thanks for watching. Peace out.